Elevate,
the podcast series by Elevation Barn.
We are actually dealing with the child that we need them to be versus the child they truly are. And it's so tricky. We have to release our inner child. We have to see our inner child as no longer needy, no longer scared, no longer dependent. Then we will look at our outer child as, you're not needy, you're not dependent either. So we're always making choices, I think. And I think as parents, we sometimes get trapped in guilt as a way to resist our own choices. But let me tell you, all of it is to avoid the present moment and the brutal impermanence and imperfection of life. What is our end goal? Is your end goal to live longer? Is your end goal to have a happy child? Is your end goal to be super famous and change the world? Many people will say, that's not my end goal. See, if you have these end goals, now you're a slave to the end goal.
We all crave for more clarity of purpose in our lives, understanding how we can be more meaningful in the lives of others. But to be this, we need to understand ourselves first. Elevate helps us to reflect on our lives through the stories of our peers who have explored and discovered the hacks to elevate what's important and stand aside of what's not. In these episodes, we talk with leaders from all walks of life, sharing their stories so you can elevate yours. Please subscribe and join us. Explore your wisdom from these stories with others and join us in the barn to unite with new peers doing something of their own to elevate their importance. You'll be in great company. I'm absolutely honored and delighted today to be with a lady that has become now a friend, somebody that has really inspired me, but not only the network I'm in, but she's making great waves around the world. She's a clinical psychologist. She's a multiple New York Times bestselling author, and she's helping families reconnect through conscious communication at levels unsurpassed before with new disruptive but much needed changes. So, Dr. Shefali, thank you so much for coming here today.
Of course.
I know you're enjoying your time in Bali.
I am. I'm so envious of you that I had to follow you all the way here and see how you lived. And I'm just so in awe of just the people, the culture, the pace of life.
Right.
There's something in the air that just makes you slow down. And I was really looking for this. So I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's what I find your work has done for me and for many of our connections and peers, is that you've allowed us to slow down to think about parenting in a new way. It was fascinating. Bella, my 13-year-old, who you met briefly at Dragonfly in Thailand, I said, I'm going to go and have a chat with Dr. Shefali today. And she goes, great, you're going to learn a lot. So it immediately made me realize that, we think we're amazing parents and we think we have these amazing abilities in life, but we should take that time to slow down, to really consider why we're here on the planet, which is to have children. But I'd love to go back, because you talk about it being about the individual first and about the understanding yourself before you can help others. How did you get to this route? Growing up in Mumbai, going into New York to be educated, how did you come into this pattern of thinking and understanding of work?
Yeah, so there were many years in between where I began meditating and learning Vipassana meditation and the principles of, that kind of Buddhist thinking and mind training, and beginning to understand that we are not our thoughts and our thoughts are conditioned, and who is the I behind the small I, and who is the big self behind the self that we identify with. Who am I behind the role of the student, the role of the daughter, the role of the wife, the role of the mother? Who is that? And coming to see that we identify with the ways of the world in such a deeply blind, robotic, obedient, servile way, and don't stop to question whether the ways of the world are the wisest, are the most evolved. So in parenting, I began seeing it the most, because when I became a mother, I never thought to question that I would not be the most conscious. It never even occurred to me that I could do harm because of my unexamined self. And when I became that mother who was doing harm because of her unexamined self, I did have the wherewithal, due to my meditation practice, to at least become aware that I'm royally screwing this up. At least I had that awareness, right? Most of us don't even have that awareness.
Yeah.
We think if I'm screwing it up, it's surely because my kid is acting badly. It can't be anything to do with me.
Absolutely.
But because of my meditation training, I was able to realize I am projecting a lot here. And I really couldn't believe I was doing it. I never thought I would do it as a mother. I thought surely I'll do it as a lover, as a partner, as a friend, as a daughter. But I had so bought into this cultural idea that a mother's love is so pure, a parent's love is so unconditional, it couldn't be contaminated by the ego. All other relationships are contaminated, but not this one. So the parent, you see, is so elevated and pedestalized by culture to be this holier than thou. You know, the parent's love is the purest, and you don't question a parent's knowing of their child. And like the parent is sanctified. And that's dangerous because the parent then doesn't question themselves and no one calls them to question. So when I saw my own projections, first I didn't want to see it. So I too began to blame my daughter. Oh, if she wasn't my husband's daughter, my husband's mother's granddaughter. I kept blaming everybody.
Absolutely.
If she wasn't, you know, from this culture and because he's from a different culture, I'd look for all sorts of blame because I couldn't accept that it may be me. So that took a lot of bravery. And back then, I'm talking 2008, 2009, no one was talking in depth about this unconsciousness and healing yourself as a parent. I was at the forefront of that awareness. So I was really shit scared of my own awareness. I wanted to put it back in a box. But I couldn't stop looking at my own, you know, unhealed self. It was showing up so much that I was like, do other people not have this unhealed self? Am I the only mother in the world who's projecting away? But then I realized that I was aware of it and other people may not be aware of it. Now, was I the only one aware of it? No. But I chose to talk about it and call other parents. And early in my practice, when I began to tell parents, you know, very timidly, you know, maybe it's you, you know, maybe you want to look at this. Parents would get very angry with me and dump me and fire me. So my income went down, my reputation was on the line. And the more they fired me and got upset, the more I realized that, wow, this is the emperor has no the emperor has no clothes and no one is daring to call it. Like no one is daring to tell the holy parent that they are messing it up. And this fragility around the parent needs to be shattered. So I began. First, I had to shatter it within myself and deal with my own, to this day, unconsciousness.
And was there a trigger with your daughter to make you go, I'm seeing this ugly side?
Yes. I mean, so many triggers. I was being triggered up the wazoo. If she didn't play basketball and I wanted her to be an all-American basketball player, that was upsetting to me. If she didn't practice the piano when I wanted, that was upsetting me. She didn't eat her food on time, that. She didn't like the lasagna I cooked, that. And these some were big tantrums. But I began noticing that I really actually only want to control this person. Can I please just control you? Like, can we have a switch? And
it's easier, right?
It's so easy.
Oh my God.
And once I realized if I'm doing it, other parents are doing it too. They're just pretending that they're not. So I kind of blew the lid off and wrote my first book in 2010. And it came out in a whisper. Nobody picked it up because it was so unconventional back then.
Was that natural for you? Are you naturally a great author? I mean, you've done 5 books and each 3 times New York bestselling. You're like,
I can write. Yes, I can write. Yeah. That's just my thing, my way of expressing. But back then, we didn't have social media. We didn't have Facebook. So it was parent to parent. And within like 6-7 months, I would get a letter from a mother saying, you've changed my life. But it was far between, like then another 6 months and then another parent. It was very slow. The movement was very slow back then. And then Oprah picked it up.
That was the catalyst,
That
because
was-
she's a huge fan. I mean, she's interviewed you several times.
Yes,
and
yes. And I was very blessed and privileged and humbled by her ability to see the wisdom beneath the message, even though she's not technically a biological parent.
Right.
She could see her ego all over the place nonetheless, and was brave enough to embrace this, even though she got a lot of flack for it, that, oh, what do you know? You're not a parent. Because we parents think only other parents can talk, right? No one else can call us on our crap.
Yeah.
But soon the message spread, and it became a pioneering movement, which changed the whole way parenting is now seen. And now it's a movement on its own. Now, if you look at Instagram, people are talking about this all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm in my retreats, I'm talking about
Right.
this work.
Right,
Am I practicing it as well?
right.
You know, is anybody got it right? You go to like you travel all over the world. You're leading. We met in Thailand. You're making sure this work really distributes. Are you going to countries like Sweden or something? You go, these guys have cracked it. Or the Bushmen we talked about in Botswana or in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Has anybody cracked this code?
I don't think it's crackable, because I think the nature of humans is to be at odds and to struggle. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not about a child growing up in this perfect bubble of perfection. It just doesn't exist. Life is inherently brutal, and we're not meant to be perfect. But I do think that there's certain elements of certain cultures that work better.
Right.
And then there's certain elements of culture, like, for example, our whole obsession with social media. Now, that is definitely a no-no for childhood, right? It's so anti what children need.
Has that derailed your work a bit, because it's uncontrollable out there at the moment? To actually, it feels like we're interrupting our children from something that's more important and more. And you talk about, giving the power to your children so they can be their true selves.
I know.
But when they come back and go, well, you've empowered me.
Right.
Why are you taking my power off me? How do you advise us to handle that?
Yeah, well, social media, and I didn't know this when I first encountered social media. I was, I think like you, we were the first, maybe you have younger children. My daughter's 22. So we were the first generation, my generation, where our children were, 6, 7 years old when social media came out. And we had the first challenge. And back then, we didn't know about the dangers.
Right.
And we thought this was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
So I couldn't wait to get my own phone and couldn't wait to give it to my daughter. And now we see that we're giving a drug. So now that we're giving a drug, and our child says, but you empowered me and I'm allowed to do whatever I want with my time, that's really not true, because this is a drug. So are children allowed to have, their free access to drugs? I don't think that's in any way wise. So if I can help other parents, because I messed it up, I didn't know, I gave my daughter the drug. But now if I can help other parents to wake up and realize that this is so dangerous. And this lovely work, Jonathan Haidt, so many people are talking about this now. I think it's become very clear to the new parent who's becoming one that this is something they need to steer their children away from.
How do you manage that, though? How do you say what's good and what's bad? Because there's also that element that, like Bella is dyslexic.
Yeah.
And she's learned to write so much quicker because she has a technology that is enabling her. She's wanting to correspond with friends quickly. So she's learning so that she has to be able to write properly and achieve it. Our older kids, they're all in their middle-aged 20s.
Yeah.
They haven't required that, but it's been a device, an accelerator for.
Yeah.
How do you advise a parent to say what's enough and what's not enough?
Yeah. I think the key is that the parent first understand that this cannot be a surrogate for their presence, right? This is not like, oh, I get to check out and give my child free access. So we have to monitor the drug. We have to, sure, can the drug create some good endorphins or teach some skills? Absolutely.
Right.
But I think there's a very quick line that can be crossed into parents using the social media for entertainment, for pleasure, for connection, for surrogacy of their own presence. And that's where it gets dangerous. Sure, 1 hour a day of learning to read on a screen is very different than a child being left to the screen and the world that the screens can provide without parental presence, intervention, connection. children under the age of 10. So say Bella under the age of 10 was struggling and dyslexic. My radical view is then she struggles. And we use the screens only as a means in a very controlled way to teach that skill. But we cannot replace the frustration. She's going to have to learn how to deal with it, accept who she is.
Right.
This is not, again, about creating that bubble wrap perfect world where we now with AI, oh, you don't know how to write here. This will write your
It'll do
paper.
it for you.
Yeah. But we're taking out what it means to live a harsh, brutal life, because it is harsh and brutal.
Yeah.
But we're taking that natural sense of the edge of life out, but actually creating greater fragility. Because life, no matter what, will hit you. You can protect the dyslexia. You can protect the loneliness. You can protect the, sexual frustration. You can try to create surrogacies. But at the end of the day, life is brutal and messy and unpredictable, and you have to learn to face it.
Yeah, it's like squeezing a balloon in the middle. You squeeze it this way thinking you're controlling it.
Exactly.
And it will pop out the back.
Right.
It's fascinating being in Bali because we have quite a large expat community, a lot of people that have come here because they have next chapter ambitions and they have space to disconnect from the rat race in the West.
Yeah.
And you see these children, now that parents have more time, and the parents are also trying to sort their own shit out, the kids are so wrapped in cotton wool or monitored by the second.
Yeah.
And you see these children hungry to find that space, hungry to find that area.
Yeah.
I want to go back to your book, The Parenting Gap, because you talk about 6 kind of role systems for parents. And what I love is that you actually, it's not really looking after children. You call it parenting because it's trying to work out the parent. Why are you doing these things? Can you take us back and just explain a little bit about your understanding of why we are certain types of parents?
Yeah.
And what we can do to try and change that?
Okay.
Because I know, even when you have those 6 different like archetypes of parenting, I'm like, yep. I felt like I was a bit of all of them.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh my God, is there a save?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you take us a little bit about how you help people or parents parent themselves to move to become more impactful?
So the book is called The Parenting Map, and there are actually 5 archetypes, but I'll take you through them.
Okay.
So one part of creating a deep connection with our children or with any human is to truly observe how our own fears, our own expectations create a smokescreen and a barrier. So instead of me talking to Will, I'm going to talk to the part of Will that I need for me. So I'm going to recruit Will to be someone who meets my need. Now, Will, you are coming to just meet me and hang out with me.
Right.
You don't realize that my unconsciousness needs something from you, and I'm going to constantly be recruiting you. Now, you're an adult, so you may pick up on the game.
Right.
But children don't pick up on the game. And that's what we're doing to our children. We have a need as a parent. We have an expectation that we're not conscious of. But we subconsciously create conditions where the child fulfills that need, and we're recruiting the child. So, for example, if I have a dream that, I could never be a piano player, or I could never be an artist when I was a child.
Right.
It's a subconscious fantasy of mine that was never met.
Right.
I don't even know it. Now I become a parent. I'm not aware. And then I unconsciously buy a lot of paintbrushes and then buy the easel and then get the art teacher and then pretend as if the child wanted to be an artist.
Right.
And then if the child is not interested in art, suddenly I make the child feel like they've broken some big code of obligation to the art.
Yeah.
And the child has done nothing. So we play out these subconscious scripts based on our unrequited needs and expectations from our childhood and recruit our children to meet them. Now, this is all happening quietly, subconsciously.
Right.
But before we know it, we are actually dealing with the child that we need them to be versus the child they truly are. And it's so tricky. And if you have a naturally sensitive child or a quiet child or a more docile child, they may bend to our will and we think, wow, I'm an amazing parent. Look how lovely. My child is so good. But we don't realize that the child may have given up their authenticity for goodness. Right? Now, the bad child, right, we all know, is the one who rebels and fights back and pushes back. That child will likely get punished, shamed, castigated, and sent to their room. But will the parent ever ask, is the child pushing back against me because they are quote unquote bad? Or are they pushing back against my ego because the ego is bad? Right? But we take it personally because we don't even believe we're working out of ego. We think we're working out of heart. Okay. So that's the background. So in my book, The Parenting Map, I describe 5 kinds of ego masks that we typically wear when our needs are not getting met. Okay. So it's very simple. It's the fighter mask. So when you're angry, when you feel like your expectations aren't being met, you put on the fighter who is in charge, in command, authoritative, dominating, finger pointing. We all know that kind of person. Explosive, unpredictable. That's the fighter mask. Then there is the fixer mask. Most women will know what I'm talking about, where they get so anxious. They are ruled by anxiety, whereas the fighter is ruled by anger. The fixer is ruled by anxiety. So when they see their child struggling, they get so anxious and they're so codependently enmeshed with the child that the child's anxiety becomes their anxiety. They can't manage it. So they do the homework for the child. They fix, they jump in, they rescue, they save. Most empathic, competent women will know what I'm talking about. And it's a sickness. It's a real sickness because we disable our children. We create a dependency. We infantilize our children. I have done all of this. Then the third kind of parent is what I call the feigner parent, Feigner. That is the parent who is so disconnected from the true reality of their existence that they've created this Cinderella fantasy. They have the right car, they have the right shoes, they have the right friend circle. They're constantly showing a front face, but not really connected to their children. So their children are their trophies. Children are to be posted on Facebook, and the children grow up feeling really disconnected. That parent is ruled by attention seeking. So anger, anxiety, attention seeking. So because they so need validation and attention, they put on this mask of the feigner. And then the last 2 masks are parents who are more traumatized, the freezer mask and the fleer mask. That comes from more trauma. So the freezer really cannot bear to have strong emotions. They work out of avoidance. They want to avoid drama, chaos, any tension. They're so scared because that's how they were raised to be in either high stress environments. So now they're terrified. They avoid conflict. So they freeze. So those children grow up with parents who are really not very present, who are constantly checking out. And then the last mask is severe trauma, the fleer, who's really not even there. The child grows up with abandonment issues. So this A is abandonment. So anger, anxiety, attention seeking, avoidance, and abandonment. So these are the deeper feelings. And then we wear these masks. So it would help parents to identify, I have a lot of anger and I'm probably a fighter, or I have a lot of anxiety and I'm a fixer. And many of us are many things. So many fathers I've found typically they start off by freezing, like avoiding drama, and then they go to anger. And women also freeze first, but then we panic and fix. These are just the prototypes.
It's interesting on the retreats. I'd probably say over 50%, maybe 60, 70% of people there have a father issue. And those issues the father may not even know because they're trying to live up to a standard, or they're trying to live up. When I was growing up, our parents were quite disconnected I went away to boarding school at 11, so they were fully disconnected. But I found that they were quite disconnected, yet this new movement of parenting feels like we're overconnected. Is that the challenge that we're trying to make up for our parents' issues, or what we think is our issue with our parents? and we're overbearing in the wrong way? Are we looking for a pendulum to swing back?
Yeah, I think in both cases, there is a deep disconnect. Disconnection is the common foundation. We grew up in an era of benign neglect from our parents, or toxic neglect.
Absolutely.
Right, where we were like to be seen, not heard. We were considered addendums, adjacent. So we grew up with that void of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
We are a burden.
Yeah.
We are ignored. We're dismissed. So I think we are now overcompensating and now overdoing it with our children, overproducing, over curating, over managing, over, tweaking, controlling. But I think we're still disconnected to the child. We're still operating out of our own desire and hunger and need. We are overproducing our children, not because we love them so much, because we are actually deeply anxious and we are trying to get it right for ourselves.
Right.
We're still healing ourselves.
Yeah.
And either way, children pay a price. Which is worse, which is better, they're kind of the same. It's a zero-sum game of disconnect, so who cares? And therefore, it's up to the parent to really look at themselves. Now, when I say to parents, let's look at yourself, let's examine what's showing up, parents take it to mean that I'm, shaming them or I am putting them down.
Right.
But that's not what I mean. Nor does it mean that you have to over-obsess about your every action and be so heavily tailored that you have scripts, yeah? Many parents will come to me and go, give me the script.
Yeah.
I go, this is not some robotic. Again, you're just trying to get it right.
Right.
Life is not about getting it right. Life is just being honest as much as you can and showing up authentically. But that takes a lot of courage and inner well-being. And that's what conscious parenting is about. It's not about getting it perfect or raising the perfect child or disconnecting completely. It's about truly just being a real connected human who's trying to do their best in the moment.
We're in this place of so much advice.
Yeah.
I get totally confused. I'm told.
I know.
You go to a dinner party, it's like,
right,
you need to go and do ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Or you need to go and sit on a rock over here on your own, or you need to let your child decide the whole future.
Right.
And it's finding that mid-ground that I find quite hard. And also, we've got 4 kids.
Yes.
From 30, 26, 24, now 30.
Right.
And every single kid is different.
Absolutely. And brings up different things in you.
Different things.
Yes.
Yeah, you talk of triggers. And I'm triggered by certain things that are obviously probably part of my trauma.
Yeah.
But how do you actually manage an aesthetic or a energy in a household when you do have kids that seem so different, like the elder child, the middle child, the younger child, me, the 4th child? It's a nightmare for parents to understand what's the right way, because then the kid sees, well, they're treating that child that way. Therefore, how do you manage that?
Yeah. So if the end goal is to get it right, we're going to be screwed forever.
Right.
Because we're trying to get it right.
So don't aim for perfection.
It's like, because that's an illusion. What is right?
Right.
And we're looking for the right way. Should I, take moringa or take ayahuasca or take a cold plunge or go to the sauna or hot sauna what should I do before 9 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. And how many pills should I take? The other day, I was with a friend and they bought him a big box of pills. And I was like, wow, I'm doing nothing. So I'm definitely dying right now.
Yeah, me too. Felt missing out. FOMO.
Yeah.
Pills.
And I don't do cold plunges and I don't do saunas and I don't do infrared and I don't, anti-age and I don't biohack and what am I doing?
Yes.
And I have not been on a silent retreat and I haven't gone in darkness. Now there's the darkness retreats. I'm like, how many things should we do before we die?
Right.
But let me tell you, all of it is to avoid the present moment and the brutal impermanence and imperfection of life. Like, what is our end goal? Is your end goal to live longer? And most people say, yes. That's not my end goal. Is your end goal to have a happy child? Most people say, yes, that's not my end goal. Is your end goal to be super famous and change the world? Many people say, yes, that's not my end goal. See, if you have these end goals, now you're a slave to the end goal. And the illusion is that the end goal really matters. What matters is, am I present right now and able to be at bliss? in the mess of it all.
Mm.
And in the not knowing, we're acting like, oh, if I take 17 cold plunges in the month of October and then 7 infrareds in September, I will die later.
Yeah, and be a better parent.
And my child will
more calm.
Right, and my child will not have any problems. Well, what are we doing here? Why are we trying to create this utopia? Because we're afraid of this brutal imperfection, this brutal impermanence. If we want to live longer, we are actually defying just what life is. Life is supposed to die.
Yeah.
It's okay to die and not look so hot dying. It's okay to be wrinkled and messy and not be all planned.
Yeah.
Life is messy, and I think we're forgetting that. We're running away from that in the name of longevity, in the name of optimum, primal, whatever, optimization. We're so optimizing ourselves, we're not living.
Yep.
We're not living.
And it's interesting, we're in Bali, and even the Balinese language doesn't have a past and future tense. It's only a present tense.
Yeah.
And they live everything about today, and they do ceremonies every 3-4 days because that's what's important that day.
Yes.
For connecting what's important.
Yes.
I think we're often, I feel with our children, we're trying to project. Like Bella, when she was growing up, she slept in our bed till she was 10.
Yeah.
But that's normal in Asia.
Right.
In the West, they're holding their kids in a bathroom screaming until the kid gives up and then, reverberizing them back into...
Right. We're racing our children to some goal, and we're racing ourselves to some goal, but the goal itself could be an absolute mirage and a delusion. And in the chasing of the goal, we don't know how to live in the present. And that's why I came to Bali, really, for 7 weeks, because I wanted to go visit the ordinary existence of how it perhaps used to be without glamorizing it. The community. The man in the village showed us his bank, and he said, "This is my bank." And I said, "What is in it?" And he was like, "Rice. Rice is the currency. We all have rice."
Right.
And he said, "We all make sure that everyone has enough rice. And our goal is to have enough rice." And he said, "I just farm. I'm a farmer." And that's how they live, off the land. And I'm not glamorizing anybody. I'm just saying that they seem to be so connected. They have their values kind of simple and straight. And they look really happy. If anybody comes to Bali, you can see the people's immediate joy. And again, I'm not romanticizing that they don't have issues, but there's a certain, fundamental, elemental way of life here that I think in the West we are forgetting.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get there,
but
we're missing the present moment. And so with our children, it's okay to have ordinary children living an ordinary life, and they can have messed up relationships and they can be sad. It's okay, it's okay. It's okay. We're trying to create this, I'm going to beat life and I'm going to beat my, hardships, and I'm going to be a survivor. But we're actually afraid to just be vulnerable and simple and messy and messed up.
Yeah. How do you find it being in America, right? Like, you've flown all the way here and you've disconnected from a lot of trauma and disruption and shaking of the snow globe over there. When you stand and look back from a distance and as a main role model and inspiration for us to how to get from A to B, how do you look back, and what kind of perspective do you think you can share to people now that are unsure, that don't trust government, currencies, don't know if the planet's going to be here, don't know where things are going? What's the big tennis ball that you can throw for them to catch to reassure?
I think the thing that gives me a little calm is that although it looks like this is a new wave of particular fascism and this is a new wave of tyranny and oh my goodness, let's all be really scared, the tragic truth, actually, which can give comfort, is that we've been here before, and this is just another face of the ego. This is the same ego that shows up when your kid doesn't play the piano and you want them to play the piano, and you seek to control and possess and dominate and shame and isolate and create fear and panic. The same thing that happens in the parent-child dynamic when that ego shows up. When the parent is so deluded to believe that I'm yelling at you because it's for your good, blow that up. And that's what our governments are doing now. They think in their delusion that this is for our good. right? But no one can tell them, hello, this is your ego. This is all about you. You are not connected. They feel they're connected, just like every parent feels they're connected. So capitalism, imperialism, and fascism are just along the continuum. So we've had capitalism. We were all okay with that. Well, capitalism unchecked becomes imperialism and fascism. So the roots of capitalism are the problem, because what is capitalism? Is to capitalize over, to dominate over. And contrast that with the Balinese farmer in Ubud, who is all about community and communal, not capital, communal. Right? Now, we like the capitalism. We like to jet set around the world and have 5 villas all around the world. So we like that. But what we need to understand, often it doesn't stay contained. It becomes toxic. So what we're seeing now is a mutation of what we have co-created. We love capitalism. Well, many people take it to another level. And now we have a system of tyranny and fascism. But it comes from capitalism, which we all are part of.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see that, because we're not this fascist, but we're this fascist. Just this much, not that much.
Yeah. It's like we don't want to see us reflected in our children.
Right.
Because that usually triggers,
Yes.
Take us a little bit deeper on trigger, because I lost my father at 6 months, I lost my mum at 18, I went to boarding school at 11, I failed all my exams, screwed up my marriage and my life in my 30s. It seems like a routine that I thought was special to me. And then when I talk to people, they're, yeah, me too. And then one after the other. How do I know I get triggered.
Yeah.
I know the sensitivities. When the children get bullied or there's things there, the warrior comes out. How do you address your triggers?
Yeah.
And go a little bit deeper so you can delicately get from the past to now?
So first I want to say that you talked about screwing your life up. And I want you to know that that is not true, in my opinion, my humble opinion, because there's no other way but to screw it up. Like, you have no choice. So it's not like, and I screw, like as if somebody else would not screw it up.
Right.
It's not a screw up. It is just the outpouring of unconsciousness. So even what we're seeing in governments today is not some deliberate evil that has suddenly come about. It's the same unconsciousness that you brought into your marriage, that they are bringing into government. It's all coming from the same disconnected place of our childhoods.
Right.
So having said that, you had no choice but to play out that disconnect that you felt in childhood. And you were not mirrored. You were not, I'm just presuming, I don't know what happened, but you were probably not safely attached and felt held in a community. So there was a disconnect.
Right.
And you had great fear,
Right.
which you then projected into your life, into your marriage, into your naturally. So it wasn't a screw up. It was actually a perfect mirror to your inner world. So what I want to say is that there is no mystery, no screw up, no mistake. Every relationship is exactly the way it's supposed to be. There are no failures. Everything is a reflection of your inner reality. So I try to tell people that, if you had a divorce or you had 3 divorces or you failed 10 classes, it's because you couldn't focus, because there was no inner focus. There was no inner coherence, so there was no outer coherence. So there is no screw up. It's actually perfect, okay? So in terms of how do we work with our triggers? Well, the first step is to recognize, right? To be aware, right? That's the first step. And it sounds so simple. Okay, Dr. Shefali, I'm aware. No. Really, are you aware?
Yeah.
Or is there a part of you that still wants to blame your child?
Yeah.
Because we'll all say, to our children, I'm really sorry I hit you or I raised my voice. But if you weren't arguing, I wouldn't get upset, right? So we got triggered only because of something inside us. So when we fully become aware, we're willing to take full accountability. When we take radical accountability, we can then, with compassion, have radical acceptance of our story that brought me here. I yell at my kids, or I'm a drug addict, or I'm a failure, or I'm, cheating on my wife, or I'm lying to my husband. It doesn't matter. Now I see it. I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm going to take accountability. And then I'm going to have compassion for why I do it. So level 1 is figuring out your patterns that brought you here. However, many of us get stuck in level 1.
Right.
And we keep orbiting the same damn issues. And we just hit a healing of ceiling, but we stay stuck there. And we don't know how to shatter that ceiling. So what I try to teach is, okay, now what's next? How do we bring in the version of you that you can be, that you were before you were screwed up by your childhood, before things happened to you? There is a part of us that is untouched, that is whole, that we have a sense of, but we've never fully embodied. Now it's up to us to step into that. So how would I would ask you, Will, what would an untriggered Will look like? So give me a trigger. Give me an example of something that, it's your issue, but you can't help it. You lose your shit.
Shouting.
No, but what's the trigger on the outside?
Oh, the trigger on that is hearing somebody shout.
Oh, so when they are shouting.
Yeah, my mother never shouted. My father never shouted.
Okay.
But when I hear it,
beautiful.
It's immediately defense.
Okay, so when somebody is shouting at you, you feel defensive. First you feel anxious, then you feel defensive. And then what do you do back?
Probably shout.
Shout back. What else?
What the hell are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
In that moment where you feel defensive because you are interpreting them shouting at you as an attack on you.
Yeah.
So what are they attacking in you, Will? What are they attacking? They're making you feel what? That I am what? I am
lesser, vulnerable.
Beautiful.
The little boy inside that's hurting.
Right.
Right.
And you are feeling powerless. You're feeling emasculated. You're feeling helpless. All those things.
All those things.
Okay. That's your inner child crying.
Big style.
Big. And because your need is not getting met, they keep shouting. You have to employ the ego, which shouts back. Okay? The ego is like, don't worry, little boy.
I'll defend you.
I'll defend you.
I got this.
And I got this.
Right.
But we all know that feels horrible. Right? We never feel good after the ego yells because then that person's ego yells. Now we're in an ego match.
Right.
Okay. So that's what's happening on the inside. What would it look like for you to not feel defensive? That would mean that you would have to feel whole and not broken. You would have to feel powerful, not powerless. Can you imagine have you ever seen a person like that, or have you ever had a state where you have been that? Have you?
Well, even just as you talk about it, I feel a bit more like ninja strong.
Yes.
Like the warrior. I can just pass that off.
Right.
And move it aside, and that feels empowering.
Correct. So now we have two parts of us. We have the inner child that's still crying and going, please don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. Please take care of me. Please see me. That's our need and our expectation. This new side of you, which you don't know yet, but you're like, oh, that one would be so strong that everything would fall off, that she or he or me would be so connected, so centered. Can I bring this part that is still a gossamer vision, a mirage, but bring it in? Imagine if I just said, I'm whole. I'm whole right now. I can be powerful. I am powerful. And just call that in. Suddenly, the needs of the inner child begin to calm down.
Yeah, big style.
And you disconnect from the outside trigger.
Yeah.
Because you activated the healed part of you, not the healing part of you, the healed part. And I think that's where we get stuck. We keep trying to be in healing. We never embody the healed. And to embody the healed, you have to just call it in. You have to just become it. Not in a fake way, but in a wisdom way. You have to become the flower. You have to become the wind. You have to become the elements. And that's why meditation is so important.
Right.
That's why visualization is so important.
Right.
You know it's out there. You know that when you're watching a beautiful sunset or a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful flower, that feeling of awe, beauty, stillness, you have to now activate that in your daily life. And that's why being in nature, being still, being quiet will allow you to activate that. But these are lost traditions. We don't spend time alone.
Right.
We don't spend time in stillness.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to be untriggered. It won't work. You will still orbit the same. You try it a little bit on Tuesday, but by Thursday you lose your shit again. Because you're still in that broken place.
Right.
You're not activating the higher self.
And what's interesting is you triggered an aha. I mean, so much what you say is like, but the aha when I've seen my kids back when they were younger, and there's been those triggers, they didn't get upset by those triggers. They're kind of like, Dad just lost his shit. But anyway, let's go play over here.
Right.
And they were in control.
Yes.
And it just makes me feel what you talk about, let your child be self-confident and self-governing and self-believing. It's us putting the shit on the child that usually weighs them down, that gives them this backpack of expectancy that makes and holds them back. But if you let them be naturally resilient, then you give the wings back to them.
So do the same thing to yourself now. So
Right.
You're controlling your inner child. You're saying you're a needy person and you need this person to give you affirmation, compliments, praise, approval. And you're binding your child, your inner child, to those equations with the outside world. Now, release your inner child and tell your inner child, you know what? You actually don't need it. I'm going to give it to you. I am already what you want from that person. I'm here. You give it. You become it. And you release your own inner child of this trap of neediness. Just like we stop controlling our real child from needing us, from being controlled by us, we stop controlling our own inner child from needing things from the external world. So we have to do to our inner child first what we want to do to our outer child. We have to release our inner child. We have to see our inner child as no longer needy, no longer scared, no longer dependent. Then we will look at our outer child as, you're not needy, you're not dependent either.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it makes me feel lighter, makes me want to breathe into it. So that I can make that distance. I want to just lean on a little bit, because Elevation Bond's got leaders from all over the world in different disciplines. And one of the big things that many people, when they're coming to do a retreat, to take space, is the guilt of being a successful professional or somebody that is traveling. What advice would you give as a professional, as you know, you're leading millions of people around the world, you're traveling, you're disconnected, even though your daughter's older. How do people avoid that feeling of guilt and unworthiness as a parent and beating themselves up?
Well, there is an element of needing to be present with your children. So I can't exactly say, don't feel guilty.
Yeah, don't worry about it, keep traveling.
Who cares? Just keep traveling. I mean, I'm sorry, you got this little kitten and now the kitten needs you, So especially when you have young children, I can't really say, oh, why are you feeling guilty? Just keep traveling. I can't, right? You have to be there or have them be in a community. But endlessly beating yourself down is also ultimately a relentless spiral and a trap, because what good is beating yourself? You're just self-obsessed and you're putting on this face of, oh, I feel terrible and I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't have done that. And all of that is resistance energy. I shouldn't have done that in the past. Well, you did do that. Now accept it. You're not perfect. You did screw up. Okay, big screw up. Okay, not a big deal. Like keeping on obsessing, oh, I shouldn't have hit my child. I shouldn't have done that when they were 2. Is a self-indulgence. It's not in the present moment. It's resistance to your own imperfection. Yes, you did. You're not perfect. Okay, now you're here. So part of that. And then endlessly saying, I shouldn't travel so much and I feel so bad I'm traveling so much, is a loop, because either you don't or you do. Right. But talking about it is just you trying to feel good about yourself and looking for permission from others. And you don't need that permission. If it's feeling so out of alignment, either do it or don't do it.
Realign.
But don't feel like you're being made to do it because of, your vision. So for example, many people will say, oh, I'm the CEO of a hospital and we help to save lives. And that's why I'm not with my child. No, you're not with your child because you're choosing to do this. The hospital is not making you do it. The sick people are not saying, please come rescue me. You're making a choice. And so choosing your choices and not pretending like your choices have chosen you because you're the next Messiah. You're not the next Messiah. Your legacy doesn't need to save anybody. You get to choose. Sometimes we're deluded to believe I'm doing God's work and I'm doing, I'm saving the world. That's why I'm a bad parent. No, you're just a bad parent or whatever. And when I say bad parent, I mean just you just don't want to be there. It's your choice. We're making choices and activating that ownership and accountability. I make this choice and I need to own it and look at it for its mistakes, for its limitations, and for its beauty. But let's not pretend that, I really want to stay at home, but I really have to travel.
Yeah. And your child will be the first to say, "Why are you home?"
Yeah, why are you home?
You're irritating me. Or
Right,
you know.
right. And if you are working because you have to put food on the table,
Right.
you have to put food on the table.
Absolutely.
You're the best parent for that.
Yeah.
So we're always making choices, I think. And I think as parents, we sometimes get trapped in guilt as a way to resist our own choices, and take ownership over them.
So you've got 7 weeks breather here. Where, with all those that are really following and living better lives from your work, where should we expect to see you move? Where are you going? What are you doing with this?
I think I'm gradually molting my skin of being the conscious parenting person, and I'm moving into, I think, helping women radically awaken more. And I'm actually doing it right now. I just wrote a new book proposal the last few days.
Oh, fantastic!
And I'm again calling in my next version of myself. And I'm doing so playfully, with a lot of humor, without taking myself too seriously. Oh, what is my next version? I'm not, thinking I'm so amazing. I'm just going to play with it. I've done conscious parenting. I'll keep doing it, but that's not where I want to live.
Yeah.
I want to try something new. So I'm going to be brave and playful with my identity and transmutate it into a new way. And I'm going to explore this new field of really stepping into helping women lead the way.
Right. That's awesome. And as a brother of 3 sisters and the father of 3 daughters, I also want to be included in that fight.
Yes.
I often find that it's like we're helping young women, but the first person up there to help my young women in my life is me. So I'm so happy you're doing that work and so happy to be a part of it. Jumping off that, and I know the clock's against us. You're here in the island, they go to with coconuts and stuff. But we have this international network and we have extreme diversity of thought and perspective. How can we help you? Because you're helping so many people. And, your the superpowers are often our nemesis because we don't want help. But if we could help you on this next chapter, be the you that you are today and forwards, how can we help you?
I think the message that comes through me is sometimes blunt, provocative, and off-putting. I'm just being honest, to a lot of people. And I've experienced that. And I think people like you who are not so put off can help me take this message to places where people may not naturally have come to me. So mothers come to me, parents come to me, but really very successful businessmen shy away from this deep work.
Yes.
And it's people like you who can be the bridge between my work and people like me who do this kind of work to take it into that more masculine, materialistic, capitalistic world. So I thank you. You're already helping me to translate my work into that, because sometimes I can be, uber spiritual and talk a little bit in a way that rankles the capitalist's heart. Because I stabbed the capitalist's heart.
Yeah.
And I think I need help from men like you who have their feet in that world and this world to kind of make that bridge.
And it's so needed because I really believe in this moving from this hero's journey into the kindred quest.
Yeah.
And how do we help each other? For me, I feel like I'm sitting with a big sister who's like, even I'm older, but it's like, it's comforting.
Yeah.
And most of us, especially in positions of power, try and run and avoid those areas of self-work.
Yeah.
But it is fashionable to become more connected and less lonely and more successful in this kindred quest of what we can be. So I really thank you for your work, and I will very much lean forwards to help you drive this great new chapter forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Dr. Shefali, thank you so much.
Thank
Indy.
you.
Thank you.